Larry Fong teases the restoration and return of the SnyderVerse as he posts a picture of the Paramount water tower or whatever it is. Let's get into it. Hello! Yes, I'm Mick and welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram, MinusMick7. MinusMick7. Very important you remember that. Go add me. Check out the wonderful things I'm doing on that platform. And on my TikTok, Mad Mickey's World, which basically is exactly the same thing. A very warm welcome to Monday's edition of the DC show. This is the only place you will get all your DC movie news and updates, but honest, direct opinions, and you will have exclusives. I was brought up in this industry. My father worked for the BBC, then he took us to Hollywood where he had a job at a studio. I grew up with many people from the industry. I'm still in contact with those people. This is a place to be, not a place of triggering you or gaslighting you, but reacting to the news from DC movies and TV and DC studios and the SnyderVerse honestly and directly. So let's get into it. Yes, if it's not Zack Snyder this time teasing the restoration of the SnyderVerse, it's cinematographer Larry Fong. As Larry, he's one of the best at his job. By the way, I think didn't he even choreograph the Lost pilot for J.J. Abrams? So he's very talented. It looks like he will be doing the cinematography for Brawler, which Zack Snyder is doing under the Paramount Studio logo. So, yes, he could be posting the picture of Paramount because of that, but I think there's no secret anymore. The SnyderVerse is going to be restored. I don't think there's much doubt now. You know, there's always an element of me saying, oh, Mick, should you really be saying that? Because it could come back and bite you on the backside. It won't be the first time I've been bitten on the backside. This really isn't the place to talk about that, though. But I am very confident at this stage that, you know, people like Larry Fong and Snyder teasing. You can find Larry Fong not just on, I think he's on Instagram, but he's also on X Twitter as well. And he's there quite often as well. So he's a cool guy. But I think we've got to stop saying maybe the SnyderVerse is going to be restored, and it is. This would fix a huge injustice, as we all know. Very few people, very few directors in this industry get to go back and put things right what once went wrong. You think about Dick Donner, who was fired after Superman 78. He filmed, many elements of Superman 2. And we saw as much as we could of that in the Donner cut. But we never got Dick Donner's Superman 3, which he was planning. And Dick Donner's Superman 4, maybe Superman 5 and a Batman movie. He had big plans for DC before he was fired after Superman 78. There's no going back for Dick Donner. So this would be a huge, groundbreaking event. But Zack Snyder has pushed for this. Let me be absolutely clear, as I always am when I talk about Zack. Zack never moved on. Zack never wanted to move on. He wants this. The fans want this. There's money to be made from the restoration of the SnyderVerse. And the potential under Snyder is limitless. I've spoken before about a cyborg movie. He would make an awesome cyborg movie. He could end his franchise with a Flashpoint movie. So, as he always said, he wanted to give the next person the element to do something new with DC, and Flashpoint does that. But there's Cyborg. There's, as I say, Flashpoint. The potential of a Man of Steel, a direct sequel to Man of Steel as well, which will be really exciting. There's Ben Affleck's The Batman movie. But there's a huge potential for Zack to create, to carry on creating his universe. A great wrong was committed because these films had an audience and they had a huge audience. These movies were making money. No, not the money the greedy studio wanted, but they were making money. There was a fandom. There was a ready-built audience. James Gunn doesn't have that audience. Zack Snyder does. Because when you look at these gun stands, they've got like 10 followers. They're just bots. Zack Snyder. Let me start again. Yeah, Zack has got this ready-built fan base. Not a bunch of bots with 10 fucking followers. So there's money to be made from the restoration of the SnyderVerse. So there's a business, let me put it this way. There's a business reason to restore the SnyderVerse. This is not about us asking a studio to be charitable. There's money to be made. People want to see Zack's DC movies. And his art was cut. It was never just meant to be free movies. It was never meant to be Man of Steel BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. There was meant to be free Justice League movies. We were meant to get a Cyborg movie and a Flash movie. We were going to get it all. And we never did. We lost out. Huge. He had big plans. And if you like Zack's DC movies or like his movies in general, this will be exciting. The potential of the SnyderVerse being restored, of Zack returning. Because you've got a guy who's ultra talented that looks at the mythological element of these DC characters, these wonderful DC characters. But he's a fan. He loves DC. And yeah, and maybe a Dark Knight Returns movie as well. That would be awesome. We got a hint of that in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. So his fans, us, want to see his return. Want to see the restoration of the SnyderVerse. And I think it's going to happen. There's too much confidence for this not to happen. I speak to SnyderVerse fans all day. I mean, hang on a minute. Yeah, sorry about that. That was my cab driver, my taxi driver. He's going to take me shopping. Because I don't own a car, I can't drive, and this is the way I live. Anyway, you're not here to hear about my personal business. So sorry about that. I'm not doing the video again because I just don't have the time. Anyway, yeah. So there's huge potential in bringing back Snyder to direct DC movies because he looks at them in a kind of gaze that I like. I love Man of Steel. I love Batman vs. Superman. Zack Snyder's Justice League. They're movies. They're my bag. They're, as us Brits would say, they're my cup of tea. I like the fact that he takes them seriously. This obsession over bad gags and bright colours is beyond me. I didn't mind Superman 78 having gags and bright colours. But you can also have movies that are dark without big bright colours. You can do both. The MCU fucked over the SnyderVerse, no question. Because all of a sudden people are demanding MCU-style comic book movies. But there's no longevity in those movies. They're not real movies. I think Phase 1, they're real movies. Iron Man's a classic, yeah? I would even go as far to say that Ang Lee's Hulk, which isn't part of the MCU, is a classic to a lot of people. It's a proper film. The Incredible Hulk is a proper film. Captain America, the First Avenger, is a proper film. Well, Zack's movies, Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, they're real fucking movies. Even Bryan Singer's Superman Returns is about Superman, not the Justice Gang. Superman, whether you like that movie or not. I want to go back to real comic book movies, trying to tell a story about a specific comic book character. No team-ups, no cameos, no fucking Easter eggs, just trying to tell a fucking story and making a real movie. And that's what Zack gave us with Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. Brilliant movies. How do we live in a fucking age where people call Zack's movies slop? That call Zack Snyder a bad director? Are you for fucking real? Are you on fucking drugs? Have you been snorting something, right? I don't know. I don't care if you don't like the guy's movies. There's certain great directors' movies that are not for me, but I respect them. Woody Allen's movies are not for me, but don't you dare say in my presence that Woody Allen is a shit director. He's probably a shitty person, but he's one of the great directors. His movies are not my cup of tea. But just because they're not my cup of tea, I can't go around bashing the guy because he's a great director, isn't he? You don't have to like his stuff, Snyder's stuff, to admit he's a great director. He is a unique director. The beauty of his shots, the way he sees these DC characters. And to think we lost so much just because some of you didn't like his movies. That's fine. But just because you don't like the man's movies, it didn't mean that the rest of us who do love his DC movies should have lost out. I keep on talking about different corners every day. That's what we should get. I'm excited about Matt Reeves' The Batman 2, or The Batman Vengeance, which is its title. I don't know what title they're going to go with. I keep on saying The Batman 2 shite title. I don't like all this, The Batman 2, Ghostbusters 2. Give them fucking titles. Anyway. So I want all these directors to cook. Yes, even Gunn. I just don't want him running DC. I'm not an anti this or an anti that, or here for this or here for that. I want to see Zack Snyder's DC movies. That's what I want to see. So if you don't like him, don't watch his movies. It's simple really, isn't it? If you're a Gunn stan, watch Gunn DC movies. And if you're a Snyder stan, keep away from the Gunn stuff. Don't talk about Gunn. And if you're anti-Snyder, don't talk about Snyder. There's room for everyone to coexist. But it's up to the studio to set this up properly. There's no way Paramount will allow Gunn and Safran to run DC, to dictate the future of every single DC movie and TV show. That was wrong. That's why DC Studios was never ever going to work. It's kind of worked for the MCU and Feige. I still don't think it's right. I think after Endgame they should have splintered the whole thing. And anyone can come in and do whatever they wanted within the Marvel Universe. Because they did the connected thing. But it was over. It was beginning to become tired anyway. We all know that. They just about got away with it with Avengers Endgame. What are they doing now? They're trying to resurrect the whole thing with Avengers Doomsday. We'll see what that film is like. So move away from the connected universes and let these great directors cook. Whoever they are. It's not just about Snyder. But people are going to complain when Snyder is unveiled as coming back to making DC movies. I know that. I get that. There's some people who are going to be angry, who hate us as a fan base. But I'm not just a Snyder DC fan. I'm an all-round DC fan. First seeing Superman 78 as a small boy, Superman 2, Superman 3, even Superman 4, Superman Returns as an adult, Smallville. You know, everyone has a right to express themselves in this industry. And just because you don't like Snyder, it doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to express himself. And I think that's the key here. So instead of getting all upset online about it, you enjoy, you love what you love, and we can love what we love, and there's a coming together. But this bullshit that started after Man of Steel, because it wasn't like the MCU, was bullshit. Because you don't bring in $668 million globally if you're not a popular movie. That's a good, solid box office. Yeah? You know, you look at Superman 2025 bringing in 616 or whatever they did in reality. You don't get a sequel if you get under that. So people went to see that movie, especially in America. And some liked it, some didn't like it. I accept that. I didn't like the movie. Yeah? I can accept people liking the movie. I can accept him making more sequels. I just don't want him dictating what happens with every DC movie and TV show. So there's a place for everyone. And you're going to have to accept it because Snyder's coming back. Let me repeat myself. No matter what you do or what you say, the SnyderVerse will be restored. Snyder's been very clever to build a relationship with Ellison and Paramount and the Saudi Arabian people who are investing in this WBD deal. Snyder's been pushing for this all along because he's desperate to get back to making DC movies. He wants this. There's no moving on for Zack Snyder. There's no, respecting the past and embracing the future for Snyder. You can have your James Gunn DC movie, then we can get our Zack Snyder DC movies. And everyone can be happy. Yeah, you don't have to hate. I get it, people hate what they don't understand, like Pa Kent tells Clark Kent in Man of Steel. But ultimately, this is going to happen. Larry Fong and Zack Snyder are not posting on social media for nothing. And if you don't believe it's happening, you are delusional. Just because you don't want something to happen doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So this is going to happen. Zack Snyder is going to restore the SnyderVerse, and it's really, really exciting. Now, what happens first, I don't know. We'll have to play it by ear. But there's so many exciting things we could get here. Because I just want someone to be making these movies who cares. And there's no question about it. Zack Snyder cares. I watch Man of Steel and BVS and the Snyder Cut a lot. I watch Wonder Woman a lot. I even watched the first Suicide Squad a lot. There's a lot to love, actually, about the first Suicide Squad. Release the haircut, by the way. That's why I see it as the SnyderVerse, right? Even though Snyder had not very much to do with the first Suicide Squad, had lots to do with the first Wonder Woman, there was an arc building up. There was a set of movies going along. This was our MCU, but done in the Snyder way. And I liked it. I loved seeing Ben Affleck's Batman in the first Suicide Squad movie, or seeing The Flash in the first Suicide Squad movie, or seeing Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne in a post-credit scene with Amanda Waller. I loved all of that. I loved Amanda Waller at the beginning of Suicide Squad saying, the world changed when Superman flew across the sky. It changed again when he didn't. It's a through line. It was a connected universe. We were getting fed well, no matter what the fucking bots and haters say. And because of a bunch of haters online, I don't care about the critics. I don't care if some people hated it. There was a big enough fandom to keep this going. Yeah? It was bringing in money. There was actually no justifiable reason for driving Zack Snyder out of DC, or trying to force him to make a Kevin Feige type of MCU connected universe out of the DCEU. That's where it went wrong. The DCEU didn't go wrong because Snyder was making a certain type of movie. It went wrong because people couldn't accept something a little bit more artistic. That's why it went wrong. It's obvious, isn't it? It's the studio to blame, not Zack Snyder. From the moment they removed Christopher Nolan from writing the Man of Steel sequel, it went wrong. BVS was still a great movie. The Snyder Cut was still a great movie. Wonder Woman 2017 was still a great movie. And I enjoy elements of the first Suicide Squad, as I've already said. But that's the moment. Because we could have had these films being run by Snyder, Goyer and Nolan. And we could have had Syncope as the co-production company of this franchise. Imagine how classy that would have been. But from the moment they reacted to people online to Man of Steel, there's too much destruction. Oh, the tornado sequence sucks. Once you listen to idiots who don't even go to cinemas, just sit there reacting to everything online, you create your own problems. From the moment they got rid of Goyer, their problems began. And they still probably think they made the right decision. No, you didn't. Because the DCEU was the opposite of the MCU, which was a good thing. Yeah? It was another way of doing comic book movies. And it worked for a great amount of people. So some people didn't like it. There's always going to be an element of people who don't like something. But if you're making money, if you've got a fan base, if you've got an audience, it's good business to keep that going. And it's a bad business to listen to a bunch of bots online, in my opinion. So, at the end of the day, this is how I'm going to finish off this video. This is going to happen whether you want it to or not. I celebrate it happening and bring on the restoration and return of the SnyderVerse. I will see you again tomorrow. I've got to get through these notifications before I can switch this video off. I hate this laptop. I will see you again tomorrow.